Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we are going to read the first book, Beyond Birth and Death. Chapters first, we are not these bodies. देहि नित्याम् अबाधयो यामं देहे सर्वस्य भारता तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि नात्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body is eternal and can never be slain. Therefore, you did not grieve for any creature. The first, the very first step in self realization is realizing one's identity as separate from the body. I am not this body, but I am spirit soul. Is an essential realization for anyone who wants to transcend death and enter into the spiritual world beyond. It's not simply a matter of saying I am not this body, but of actually realizing it. This is not as simple as it may seem at first. Although we are not these bodies, but are pure consciousness, somehow or other we have been encased within this bodily dress. If we actually want the happiness and independence that transcend death, we have to establish ourselves and remain in our constitutional position as pure consciousness. Living in the bodily conception, our ideas of happiness is like that of a man in delirium. Some philosophers claim that this delirious condition of bodily identification should be cured by abstaining from all action, because these material activities have been a source of distress for us. They claim that we should actually stop these activities. Their culmination of perfection is a kind of Buddhistic nirvana, in which no activities are performed. Buddha maintained that due to a combination of material elements, this body has come into existence, and that somehow or other, if these material elements are separated or dismantled, the cause of suffering is removed. If the tax collectors gives us too much difficulty because we happen to possess a large house, one simply solution is to destroy the house. However, Bhagavad Gita indicates that this material body is not all in all. Beyond this combination of material elements, there is spirit, and the symptoms of that spirit is consciousness. Consciousness cannot be denied. A body without consciousness is a dead body. As soon as consciousness is removed from the body, the mouth will not speak, the eye will not see, nor the ears hear. A child can understand that it is a fact that consciousness is absolutely necessary for the animation of the body. But what is this consciousness? Just as heat or smoke are a symptom of fire, so consciousness is the symptom of the soul. The energy of the soul or self is produced in the shape of consciousness. Indeed, consciousness proves that the soul is present. This is not only the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, but the conclusion of all Vedic literature. The impersonalist followers of Shankaracharya as well as Vaishnavas following in the disciplic session from Lord Sri Krishna acknowledge the factual existence of the soul, but the Buddhist philosophers do not. The Buddhists contend that at a certain stage the combination of matter produces consciousness, but this argument is refuted by the fact that although we may have all the constitution of matter at our disposal, we cannot produce consciousness from them. All the material elements may be present in a dead man, but we cannot revive that man to consciousness. This body is not like a machine. When a part of a machine breaks down, it can be replaced and the machine will work again. But when the body breaks down and consciousness leaves the body, there is no possibility of our replacing the broken part and rejuvenating the consciousness. The soul is different from the body, and as long as the soul is there, the body is animate. But there is no possibility of making the body animate in the absence of the soul. Because we cannot perceive the soul by our gross senses, we deny it. Actually, there are so many things that we are there which we cannot see. But we cannot see air, radio waves, or sound, nor can we perceive minute bacteria with our blunt senses. But this does not mean they are not there. By the aid of microscope and other instruments, many things can be perceived which had previously been denied by the imperfect senses. Just because the soul, which is atomic in size, has not been perceived yet by senses or instruments, we should not conclude that it is not there. It can, however, be perceived by its symptoms and effects. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna points out that all our miseries are due to false identification with the body. Matra sprashastu konteya sitoshana sukha dukha daha agama payano nityas tamastitiksha bharata. O son of Kunti, the non permanent appearance of heat and cold, happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like an appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. In the summer time, we may feel pleasure from contact with the water, but in the winter, we may shun that very water because it is too cold. In either case, the water is the same, but we perceive it as pleasant or painful due to its contact with the body. All feelings of distress and happiness are due to the body. Under under certain conditions, the body and mind feel happiness and distress. Factually, we are hankering after happiness, for the soul's constitutional position is that of happiness. The soul is a part and parcel of the Supreme Being who is Sachidanand Vigraha, the embodiment of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Indeed, the very name Krishna, which is non sectarian, means the greatest pleasure. Krish means greatest, and Na means pleasure. Krishna is the epitome of pleasure, and being part and parcel of him, we hanker for pleasure. A drop of ocean water has all the properties of the ocean itself, and we, all the minute particles of the supreme whole, have the same energetic properties as the supreme. The atomic soul, although so small, is moving the entire body to act in so many wonderful ways. In the world, we see so many cities, highways, bridges, great buildings, mountains, monuments, and great civilizations. But who has done all this? It is all done by the minute spirit spark within the body. If such wonderful things can be performed by the minute spirit spark, we cannot begin to imagine what can be accomplished by the Supreme Spirit whole. The natural hankering of the minute spirit spark is for the qualities of the whole knowledge, bliss, and eternity. But these hankering are being frustrated due to the material body. The information on how to attain the soul's desire is given in Bhagavad Gita. At present, we are trying to attain fraternity, bliss, and knowledge by means of an imperfect instrument. Actually, our progress toward these goals is being blocked by the material body. Therefore, we have to come to the realization of our existence beyond the body. Theoretical knowledge that we are not this body will not do. We have to keep ourselves always separate as a master of the body, not as a servant. If we know how to drive a car well, it will give us good service. But if we do not know how, we will be in danger. The body is composed of senses, and the senses are always hungry after their objects. The eyes see a beautiful person, tell us, "Oh, there is a beautiful girl, a beautiful boy, let's go see." The ears are telling us, "Oh, there is a very nice music, let's go hear it." The tongue is saying, "Oh, there is a very nice restaurant with palatable dishes, let us go." In this way, the senses are dragging us from one places to another. Because of this, we are perplexed. इन्द्रियाणामं हि चरात्मं यानमानोऽनुविद्यते तद् अस्या हरति प्रजानामं वायुर्नवम् इवं भासि. As a boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focus can carry away man intelligence. It is imperative that we learn how to control the senses. The name Goswami is given to someone who has learned how to master the senses. Go means senses and Swami means controller. So one who can control the senses is to be considered as Goswami. Krishna indicated that one who identifies with the illusory material body cannot establish himself in his proper identity as a spirit soul. Bodily pleasure is flickering and intoxicating, and we cannot actually enjoying it because of its momentary nature. Actual pleasure is of the soul, not the body. We have to mold our lives in such a way that we will not be diverted by bodily pleasure. If somehow we are diverted, it is not possible for us to establish our consciousness in its true identity beyond the body. भोग ऐश्वर्य प्रसाक्तनमामं तया फार्ता चेत्साम व्यावस्यात्मिका बुद्धि समधाउ न विद्यते त्रैगुणाया विषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुना निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्योगाकेशमा आत्मवन्. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. The Vedas deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them, be free from all dualities and free and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. The word Veda means book of knowledge. There are many books of knowledge which vary according to country, population, environment, etc. In India, the books of knowledge are referred to as the Vedas. In the West, they are called the Old Testament and New Testament. The Mohammedans accept the Quran. What is the purpose for all these books of knowledge? They are to train us to understand our position as a pure soul. Their purpose is to restrict bodily activities by certain rules and regulations, and these rules and regulations are known as codes of morality. The Bible, for instance, has 10 commandments intended to regulate our lives. The body must be controlled in order for us to reach the highest perfection, and without regulatory principles, it is not possible to perfect our lives. The regulatory principles may differ from country to country and from scripture to scripture, but that does not matter, for they are made according to the time and circumstances and the mentality of the people. But the principle of regulatory control is the same. Similarly, the government sets down certain regulations to be obeyed by its citizens. There is no possibility of making advancement in government or civilization without some regulation. In the previous verse, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that the regulatory principles of the Vedas are meant to control the three modes of the material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. Triguna Visaya Veda. However, Krishna is advising Arjuna to establish himself in his pure constitutional position as a spirit soul, beyond the dualities of material nature. As we have already pointed out, these dualities, such as heat and cold, pleasure and pain, arise due to the contact of the senses with their objects. In other words, they are born of identification with the body. Krishna indicates that those who are devoted to enjoyment and power are carried away by the words of the Vedas, which promise heavenly enjoyment by sacrifice and regulated activity. Enjoyment is our birthright, for it is the characteristics of a spirit soul. But the spirit soul tries to enjoy materially. This is the mistake. Everyone is turning to material subjects for enjoyment and is compiling as much knowledge as possible. Someone is becoming a chemist, physicist, politician, artist, and whatever. Everyone knows something of everything or everything of something. This is generally known as knowledge. But as soon as we have left the body, all of this knowledge is vanquished. In a previous life, one may have been a great man of knowledge, but in this life, he has to start again by going to school and learning how to read and write from the beginning. Whatever knowledge was acquired in the previous life is forgotten. The situation is that we are actually seeking eternal knowledge, but this cannot be acquired by this material body. We are all seeking enjoyment through these bodies, but worldly enjoyment is not our actual enjoyment. It is artificial. We have to understand that if we want to continue in this artificial enjoyment, we will not be able to attain our position of eternal enjoyment. The body must be considered as a disease condition. A diseased man cannot enjoy himself properly. A man with jaundice, for instance, will taste sugar candy as bitter, but a healthy man can taste its sweetness. In either case, the sugar candy is the same, but according to our condition, it tastes different. Unless we are cured of this disease conception of worldly life, we cannot taste the sweetness of spiritual life. Indeed, it indeed it will taste bitter to us. At the same time, by increasing our enjoyment of material life, we are further complicating our disease condition. A typhoid patient cannot eat solid food, and if someone gives it to him to enjoy, he eats it. He is further complicating his malady and is endangering his life. If we really want freedom from the miseries of material existence, we must minimize our worldly demands and pleasure. Actually, material enjoyment is not enjoyment at all. Real enjoyment does not cease. In the Mahabharata, there is a verse, Ramanante yogino nante, to the effect that the yogis, yogino, those who are endeavoring to elevate themselves to the spiritual platform, are actually enjoying Ramante, but their enjoyment is ananta, endless. This is because their enjoyment is in relation to the supreme enjoyer, Rama, Krishna. Bhagwan Shri Krishna is the real enjoyer, and the Bhagavad Gita confirms this. Uktaram yajna tapassam sarvaloka maheshwaram sahodamam sarvabhutanam gyantavam shantim rashchati. The sages knows me as the ultimate enjoyer of all sacrifice and austerities, supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Bhoga means enjoyment, and our enjoyment comes from understanding our position as the enjoyed. The real enjoyer is the Supreme Lord, and we are enjoyed by Him. An example of this relationship can be found in the material world between husband and the wife. The husband is the enjoyer Purusha, and the wife is the enjoyer Prakriti. The word Pari means woman. Purusha or spirit is the subject, and the Prakriti or nature is the object. The enjoyment, however, is participated in both by the husband and the wife. When actual enjoyment is there is no distinction that the husband is enjoying more or the wife is enjoying less. Although male is the predominator and the female is the predominated, there is no division when it comes to enjoyment. On a large scale, no living entity is the enjoyer. God expanded into many, and we constitute those expansion. God is one without a second, but He will to become many in order to enjoy. We have experienced that there is a little or no enjoyment in sitting alone in a room talking to oneself. However, if there are 5 people present, our enjoyment is enhanced. And if we can discuss Krishna before many people, the enjoyment is all greater. Enjoyment means variety. God becomes many for His enjoyment, and thus our position is that of the enjoyed. That is our constitutional position and the purpose of our creation. Both enjoyer and enjoyed have consciousness, but the consciousness of the enjoyed is subordinate to the consciousness of the enjoyer. Although Krishna is the enjoyer and we the enjoyed, the enjoyment can be participated in equally by everyone. Our enjoyment can be perfected when we participate in the enjoyment of the God. There is no possibility of our enjoying separately on the bodily platform. Material enjoyment on the gross bodily platform is discouraged throughout Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Matra sprashastu kontaya sitoshana sukha dukha adha agma payeno nityas Tamastitikshvas Bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance and of heat and cold, happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception. O scion of Bharat, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. The gross material body is a result of interaction of the modes of material nature and it is doomed to destruction. Antavante ima dehe nityashuktaha sharirnaha anasino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. On the only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Sri Krishna therefore encourages us to transcend the bodily conception of existence and attain to our actual spiritual life. Gunan etan atyatatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukhe vimamukto martam asnuyate. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distress, and can enjoy nectar even this life. To establish ourselves on the pure Brahma spiritual platform of the three modes, we must take up the method of Krishna consciousness, the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chanting of the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Facilitates this process. This method is called Bhakti Yoga or Mantra Yoga, and it is employed by the highest transcendentalists. How the transcendentalists realize their identity beyond the birth and death, beyond the material body, and transfer themselves from the material universe to the spiritual universe are the subjects of the following chapters. Hare Krishna.